All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it. What is good? What is good? What is good? Of course, you know who I be. Good Doc, Dr. Mike TV, back again once again. With probably one of the more interesting, critically analytical videos that I'll probably ever come across, with absolutely zero stats to back this up. But if you're new to the channel, guys, make sure you get the like, subscribe, notify. Make sure you find yourself well versed in the Good Docs content. Everything you need to know about my extracurricular activities should be linked in the description area below. I'm not going to waste too much time, not going to mince words. We're going to rip this one off like a band-aid because this is a topic of conversation that is long overdue. All right. Does the Philippines community produce more single mothers than the black community? Now, this is something I've been marinating on for a long time, and I want you to understand that anything that I say in this video is based off of what I've seen throughout my experiences in the country, living in the Philippines for the amount of time that I did. And from the time that I've lived in the country to what you see right now, to what you see going on, and even my own community being back home here in the United States, you'll begin to notice, anybody who's ever been to the Philippines for a significant amount of time, you'll begin to notice that you're going to see just as many single mothers in the Philippine community that you'll likely find in the black community. Now, where does it all begin? Let's start with the men. Now, before I move forward, I will die on the cross before I ever say anything bad about black men. Okay? Those are my people. Like I said, I may not agree with everything, but yo, these are my people. I'll die on the cross before I ever disrespect them. And I would hope the same would be, vice versa. All right. But what I have to say is within every group of men, and we've talked about this in a previous video, you're going to have your lower tier gentlemen of that particular community. And of course, your high value men in that particular community. The lower tier men, your Pookies and the Ray Rays, are likely the reason why many of these women are single mothers. Now, we said that the Pookies and the Ray Rays exist in the Philippine community, no different than they exist in the black community, and probably any cultural background. You'll find a group of men that would represent the lower tier men of that particular community. If you guys want to watch that video, that should be linked at the end of this video. All right. I'm just making sure I note that for myself. Now, when I say that the men are probably the reason why many of these women in the Philippine community are single mothers, or in any community, what I'm saying is this. Though, like I said, I'm sorry, guys, let me back that up real quick. Like I said, the men who are probably leaving these mothers single are your lower tier Pookies and Ray Rays. Okay, that's what I was trying to say. But I want to talk to you where things start to differ between each of the community of women that we're talking about and the single motherhood of these women. Now, what I've noticed in the Philippines, Filipino women will stick it out as long as they possibly can with their man. All right. Is it the loyalty, whatever it may be, whatever the reasons you think they're going to stick it out with their men, they're going to try to stick it out. But let me tell you what I believe in reference to women who have kids. They do not want to be single mothers. They don't. They do not want to. They do not want to. They do not want to. That culture is based on following the tradition, marriage, kids, long life, no divorce. That's why divorce is not yet legal in the country. You can get, what do they call that word? Off the top of my head, I'm too lazy to remember what it is. Annulments. There you go. You can get annulled, but you cannot get divorced. But what you'll notice in the Philippine community is that the women will try their best to stick it out with that man, knock down, drag out to the end. Normally, it is the guy that makes the decision to leave. Okay? 9 times out of 10, it is the guy that is making the decision to leave. Even in most other communities, usually it's the man that's making the decision to leave, but probably not as a higher percentage as the woman that are probably cut out. And we're going to get to that in just one second. So the reasons why I believe Filipino women, especially those that have kids, are going to stick it out with their man is A, they don't want to be single mothers, and B, which is extremely important in this particular topic of conversation, they know that the likeliness of a man, another Filipino guy, willing to step up, take care of, and be father to a child that is not their own is absolutely slim to none. AKA, it doesn't exist. If you come across a Filipino man that is willing to be a stepdaddy to another man's Filipino child, I would be shocked. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist. I'm just saying that's a rarity. And if you find a guy that's willing to step up and take care of another man's child in the Philippine community, whew, I would be surprised. Find that guy. We got to have a talk with him, okay? And the reason why I say that it is a rarity and a surprise is that it just doesn't happen. And what tends to happen is Filipino women know that, for lack of a better term, they're tainted. Nobody wants to touch them, especially within their own community if they already have kids, which is why they remain single. And as we start to, progress, what tends to happen? These single mothers find themselves online, dating sites, places like that. And what you'll start to realize is they're looking towards people who look like you and me, not necessarily you and me, but people who look like you and me to bail them out. What does that mean? That means they're looking for foreigners, Westerners, who are okay with the idea and accepting. You'll start to see these on these dating sites, willing to accept me and my child, willing to accept me and my kids. You'll start to understand that they're looking for foreigners or people in the West that are willing to bail them out and help them take care of their kids, and they're likely to find them. You'll start to notice that single mothers on these websites will probably be more willing to do whatever it is that it takes to get a man, because they know there is this certain level of disparity to an extent. Don't take it as a disrespectful term. There is a certain level of disparity that exists because they know there's nobody else that's going to do it for them. None of their own men will do it. So guess who's going to be holding the bag in the end? The foreign gentleman. Now, let me say this. Gentlemen, if you do find yourself in a relationship with a young lady that has kids, she treats you right, she does everything that you need her to do, hey, I'm not judging that relationship, okay? I'm not judging it. I'm just saying that they know their own men won't do it. So they're looking towards us, the foreigners, the Westerners, to fulfill the fatherly role. But there is one thing that I wanted to note in reference to the women in the Philippine community versus the women that I've noticed in my own community. What you'll tend to notice is it's rare to almost impossible to find Filipina single moms with more than one kid, with more than one baby daddy. Okay? Let me note that as well. Most Filipinas, if they do have kids, normally it's with the same guy. More than one kid with the same guy. The women that represent my own community, sometimes you'll find them with different fathers for different kids. And I'm only going to leave it at that level because you guys know I don't need to go into details about this. This is not something that I'm willing to critically analyze about my own community because, again, you got people like my big brother O'Shea Duke Jackson, big love to him, always love to the big bro, who have talked about this extensively. So for myself, I don't need to go into detail. You've had other guys who have talked about this extensively. That's not what we're here to do. I'm gonna leave that one to the other gentlemen who are more astute in that particular topic of conversation. But what I will say is this: I've noticed that Filipino women, unless they get into a relationship with a foreigner that tends to get them pregnant and then leave, that may be the only other situation where you'll find them with, two kids by two different dads. Normally the second dad. And it's weird. Maybe you can agree or disagree with this one. Leave it down in the comment section below. But it's weird because mostly if a Filipina has a child for two different dads, normally the second child is half of something. Normally the father or the second child that she has is half Westerner, whatever it may be, or Filipino and half. All right. It's never a full-blooded Filipino child because, again, like I said, your normal Filipino guys don't deal with single moms. So the chances of her getting another Filipino guy, getting with another Filipino guy are slim to none, unless she lies and says she don't have kids. And who are we to know if the baby is living in a province with, Lolo and Lola, grandma and grandpa, or, their moms in the province, and she's working in the city. If she's got snapback, y'all know what snapback is. That mean that body just comes together and you like, oh, you couldn't tell baby girl even had any kids. You'll never know. You'll just never know. There's certain ways you could tell, but, most of the time you'll just never know. So, again, these are just the things that I think about as a gentleman who's lived overseas, and the fact that I do believe that if the Philippine community doesn't produce as many single mothers or baby mamas in the Philippines as the black community, they are damn near close. I'll tell you that from visual only. Again, I don't have any stats to back this up. Wouldn't even know where to begin looking for stats to back this up. But I will say this. Visually, you'll be able to see. It don't take a rocket scientist to see, damn, I've never seen so many single baby mamas or single mothers in my life than in my own community than I've seen in the Philippine community. But this is definitely a topic of conversation that I'm hoping that you guys are willing to partake in and have a lively debate about. That is why we have the comment section below, ladies and gentlemen. And if you like this video, guys, make sure you get the likes up for the good doc. Doc's trying to grow this channel, man. And I think that you guys are going to be the ones to help transcend this one into the next era. We're in a new year, baby, and we are about to take off. I promise you that. Content coming on a consistent basis. Hope you guys are ready. And with that being said, the good doc is officially out. At least not go by alarm, which means I am going now. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Sincerely do. Mahal kita. Mabuhay. Peace.